In previous section, I created a design table, and you can see that design table in specification tree under relation. By double clicking on this design table, you can see different configuration, and of course you can select which configuration you want to have in your part. But right now, I cancel this out, and I want to show you something else. Besides the design table, there is a knowledge inspector here. I can click on Knowledge Inspector and see what if I change my configuration to another configuration that I created in design table. You can see that right now configuration number 1, that is the default configuration, is selected and my part is in this situation. Now I have two agents here. One is the what if agent and second is the how to agent. I'm going to talk about what if agent right now. I have 4 different configuration in my design table, and you can see the parameter here shows me that the first configuration is selected. So I'm going to make the second. So I click on 2 and click on apply. Now you can see that before changing the configuration, it tells me what happens if I select that configuration. So I'm going to expand these a little bit, and this one again. It tells me that, let me expand it a little bit. It tells me that the first configuration is this. The second configuration has some changes, and this changes like this. The first limit change of pad is right now 100 millimeter, and the new value is going to be 80 millimeters. So the new value is smaller the current value. And again, you can see that the second limit is going to change because I have a mirror in my padding. So the second limit is exactly the same as the first limit. It tells me that the new value is going to be 80 millimeter and it's going to be smaller than the current value. Let's cancel this out and again go and select the knowledge inspector. I'm going to select this configuration file and go to the third one. By clicking on 3 and clicking on apply, I can see that again some values are going to change, and I'm going to check these values. You can see that 4 values are going to change after applying this configuration. The first one is the radius of this sketch. You can see that it is highlighted on my part body, and it tells me that the current value is 10, but the new value is going to be 15 millimeter. That's going to be bigger. And again, I have another thing here that is the length of the sketch, that if I move this a little to right, you can see this measure here. It tells me that right now it's about 30 millimeter. The new value is going to be 15 millimeter. So I can see the changes here and I can apply these changes. If I apply these changes, you can see that the change only can be applied to my shape. Select this, click apply again. And of course, I can have different configuration right this. So the knowledge inspector tells you what is going to change after, selecting some configuration. Now I'm going to create another design table, and I want to show you what happens if I select an existing design table to create a new part or change the new part's configuration. I want to select Notepad as my default tool, and that is easy to use because I can select the tab delimited file right here. So I have 3 values here. The first one is going to be X. I press tab once. The second one is going to be Y and tab. The third one is going to be Z. Now I have 3 different dimensions, and I want to show you what happens if I apply some simple configuration to my simple shape. The X value is going to be, for example, 50. The second one is going to be 50. The third one is going to be 50. In a second configuration, I want the X value to be 100. The Y value is going to be 50 again, and the Z value is going to be 70 millimeter. In a third configuration, I want the X value to be 50. The Y value is going to be 100, and the Z value is going to be, for example, 80 millimeter. And of course I can have different configuration applied to my shape. Right now I save this as design table 2, and now that I have saved this, I close this and close this part again. I'm not going to save anything here. I go and create a new part by typing new part here, and the part is going to be part 1. That's okay for me. Now I'm going to, for example, YZ plane or XY plane. XY plane is better. Create a simple rectangle and add in some constraints like this. I'm not going to, add a specific constraint. I right click on these, go to properties. This is my Y value, I guess. I rename it to Y, for example, Y index, and click OK. I can show this, of course, but that's okay here. I right click on this and go to properties and rename it to X index. And now exit my workbench. I add some padding to my shape, and this shape is going to have about 20 millimeters of padding, and that's okay. Right now I want to add a design table to this shape and apply the file that I had created previously. So I go and click on design table or type in the command design table. Now it tells me that I can create a design table from a pre-existing file. So I select OK, and the pre-existing file is a simple text file that is design table 2. Now I need to associate the values, and I don't want it to be automatically. Maybe this is not okay. I click on no and tell us I'm going to do this manually. So I have this. I go to association tabs, and you can see that 3 different columns are recognized here. The first column, and I want to expand this to show you that I have some values here. If I cannot find the indexes that I have created, I can go to my shape. Let's pad this to the left and open the part body here. Open this case. You can see that I have some constraints. I want to open the constraints. You can see these indexes that I created here. I want X to be associated with X index. So I click on X index. You can see that it is selected here because it has a lot of parameters. I cannot find it easily. So I clicked on the constraint stream and it is easier. So I click associate. You can see that it is associated right now. I want to associate the Y column to Y index here. So I select Y index and click on associate here. And the Z index is going to be associated with the pad first limit. So this is the pad first limit, so I associate this with this. So I click on OK. Now I have to zoom this out using the control page down, and that's going to be a very big shape because I have not associated the units, but that's okay. If I added some millimeters in front of those, that would be okay. So I should add mm in front of the values so that I have the correct measures. Now I open the design table from relations because I have created design table here. I open this. Now by double click on this, you can see the design table here. Let's make it a little small. This is the first configuration, and you can see that I double click on the second one. You can see that like this, and again I open this and I apply the third one. You can see that like this. So this is easy, but you can have some complex configuration from the things you have. I add a table, and now I add mm in front of these so that I make sure that everything is to the right units and not like this. I save this configuration, close this. Now I'm going to have this synchronize and click on apply. You can see that now I need to use control page up to make this as big as I wanted previously. So you can see the configuration here. You can change the configuration using these values, and you can create your design table.